I think as we grew up, you always see flooding in the East Coast, Kota Baru, Terengganu, and sometimes in Johor, and sometimes in Penang. Today you get flooding literally everywhere. I never heard of flooding in Australia before, and now Sydney is flooding and Adelaide is flooding. I mean, it's one of the driest continents in the world now, and people will tell me that climate change is not real. You just have to look around you and read the news. It's totally different now. It causes severe damage to the environment that I would dare say that nobody can even predict what it will lead to.
Sustainability is not just about preserving greens, but a commitment to enable an environment where greenery is simply about living it. Do you agree that the climate is changing? Don't you think that we are the cause of this change? Can't we all make a difference? In our previous episodes, we noticed a huge amount of interest relating to sustainable and green architecture. But how much do we understand about sustainability and going green? What depicts the term of a green building? Today's episode, we will be featuring an astounding project designed by NWKA Architects, located among lush greeneries concave within a valley in Bukit Raja, Klang. This state-of-the-art facility costs approximately 125 million ringgit with 26,000 square meters of warehouse and office space. This project has won multiple local and international architecture awards, and it is also a Green Building Index certified project. Before we begin, if you're not subscribed to us yet, do it now and click on the notification bell to stay in the loop of more compelling design episodes. When we first arrived here, the architecture stood up proudly against the contrast of the surrounding lush landscape. And stepping inside the premises, it merely feels like we have teleported to an European country. The detailing and distinctive selection of brickworks draws greatly from its European origins in Germany. The client's key request was the emphasis of the overburnt brick used throughout the architecture, as it is an expression of durability and timelessness which reflects to the business foundation.
When we build something, we say it should stand for another 50 or 100 years, right? So we want to build quality. So red bricks, quite common in Europe. Our office in Germany uses quite a bit. Not as rustic as the bricks that are being using here. So that in combination with a very nice landscaping, I think gives a very feel not related to time. You know, I mean, in 50 years it will still be stylish. You know, so and then we say, okay, why don't we look into that direction? So we went together with Kyung from NWKA. We looked at using the bricks not only on the outside, but we carry it through also on the inside.
Because there's someone who actually cares about the buildings that he's erecting, so it reflects a lot of that passion as well. The bricks is very much something that they relate to from where he comes from, near Hamburg. It becomes part of the environment, part of the culture, and you can see that transcends when he comes over. That richness of the material then is translated over here.
It does feel like we're not in Malaysia, because the red brick choices are also not very common. This brick looks really very different from the usual ones that we get.
Yes. This is an overburnt brick, and we've actually spent quite a lot of time looking for. In Europe, they use the brick to keep the heat in. So over here, we use the brick to keep the heat out. So we've got this double brick to form brick bonds that we wanted. And then on the inside, especially to the offices, we've also got another layer of internal walls that lines the bricks in order to insulate the inside spaces. The windows are kept thin and narrow where it faces the hot sun. Where we've opened it up, those directions, we've always tried to put greeneries, plants in front of those windows so that the windows are shaded throughout the day.
You see, they got other problems. They got problems with cold, we got problems with heat. You know, on the east and on the west side, because you know, when the sun comes up and when the sun sets, we use double glazing there. We have these louvers to block off the sun, minimize the impact of the sun or the heat. And of course also to save electricity.
The special thing about these louvers, there are two things to note. One is they are perforated, which means that it allows our views to connect to the outside. Yeah. And the second thing is the fact that they are operable. So they are actually on sensors, and they track the sun as the day goes by. Yeah. So we've actually minimized the amount of direct sunlight into the building. Yeah. So when you have a responsive facade, you immediately gain control of the insides much more significantly. See where the building gets slightly deeper, we've actually opened up the central void and allow natural light to come in and filter down. The idea is that wherever you are in this building, one, you are shaded from the glare and the harshness of the sun. Yeah. But on the other hand, we are opening up sufficiently that you have a direct connection with
and it's beautiful because right in the center of the space, there's this burst of natural lighting that lights up. So it beams up down to the center of the space.
Absolutely, and it spills over to parts of the first
with
floor
pots
as well.
of greeneries here and there.
Exactly.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It is indeed a masterpiece built as an iconic complement to the landscape. Who would have figured the negative factors of sun facing could be countered as a positive influence to a passive environmental design concept? With an adaptive, self-operable steel louvers with sun sensors that creates as a second skin insulation that envelopes the building, resulting in reducing direct heat gain. This is an inspiring fact of the implementation of modern technology influencing today's modern architecture.
Malaysia's climate is hot and humid. And the first benefit of building a green building is that you address these issues. And by dealing with the heat and the humidity, you create a lot of cost savings in terms of lower energy use. And the second is that you create a nicer environment where you can live and work comfortably in. GBI's vision is to ensure that every building, every city, all building in Malaysia made green, and to be able to withstand the onslaught of climate change.
The overall setting is that it responds from a green approach of sustainability. The elements that we have that supports this whole philosophy behind the design. The active energies, for example, we've installed the solar power into the building. We've dealt with the efficiency of the field services. We've also dealt with the sun gains, the heat glares. Some of these principal elements that actually supports the whole philosophy. The rest of it, which is the passive energies that comes in, that forms part of our overall agenda for the green building. We want to harness the natural energies within our climate. So on our west side is actually where the southwesterlies are. So instead of looking at it as a negative, we actually look at it as a positive, okay. and tap that energy into the buildings. What we did is to pull air into the building, let it flow through, and then comes out the other side to essentially cool the buildings. even the warehouse, a space that you can be comfortable, that you are able to introduce the things that you would to the office. The same applies for the warehouse. We've again employed the idea of the cross ventilation, moving air across the building, not artificially but naturally. We've actually created a gap on the underside, on the side and on the top, right? And this is like a funnel for the southwesterlies that's coming from that side, right? And we're pushing the whole thing into the building, right? So you imagine the amount of air that's running across the entire surface is actually funneled into this gap. And then immediately you bring down the temperature and people working in there actually feels comfortable. But architecturally, we quite enjoyed it, but the fact is, functionally, it doesn't bring the heat into the building. The fact that we've opened up on all four sides for the air to flow through, it denies the heat from going into the warehouse. That is what makes it unusual, not your typical traditional brick building. Our planet is the only planet that's green in the entire universe that we know of. And this layer of green is very thin. So what sustains life is this layer. But the important thing is that if we recognize that this thin green layer is what sustains us, then our job is to make sure that we look after it.
I think in the past 15-20 years, we have started to realize that something is going wrong with the environment and something needed to be done. And that's where green became a strong design direction that has really caught on. So some people do ask me, is green just a style? And today I just tell them that green is actually not a style. It's actually the right thing to do. The best time to get started on this green journey for your building is right from the very start.
The understanding of going green and the guidelines towards sustainability can correct the perception and route us towards the right path in crafting a greener building. We will be featuring more green content of such to encourage an awareness and movement towards cultivating a better and greener tomorrow. Please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned to more of our upcoming compelling episodes. My name is Alex Lee and I am from Design Seed. Thank you for watching.